Good morning and welcome to the 23rd episode of Tech Talks. Today we are hosting Mr. Samir Garkate. He is a technical director, Scopus Instruments Private Limited. Mr. Samir is an experienced industry member who has worked for companies like Tata Technologies, KPIT, TIE Cycles, Electrotherm, and Eder Powertron. Scopus Instruments offers application testing for EV battery, chargers, converters, wire harness design and testing services. They also provide manufacturing test setup for EV components. And I, on behalf of Team Yaniki and participants, would like to congratulate Scopic Instruments for opening their new offices. Today, we'll be having a discussion on the topic importance of EV testing. We welcome you, Mr. Sameer, on behalf of today's participants and Team Yanki. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I will start.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Team Ganiki, for giving opportunity to share details about EV testing and its importance in the vehicle development. Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, Samir. Yeah, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Today's topic is importance of EV testing. Fortunately, a couple of episodes back, some uh, presentation has been happened regarding the durability and some reliability of the components or application electric vehicle and its use. So today I will just extend that some session showing the importance of EV testing and why EV testing is really necessary and how it can improve the performance of a product. First, there are basic three parts of product development. One is a product planning and definition, where we categorize a product, in which section it will be, what features it will give to the user, and all those stuff. Then, once the planning is been done, we plan development and verification, and then the mass production. Now, the other two part, which is a product planning and mass production, we will not focus in that way, that elaborated here, because we are mainly focusing on testing. Now, the testing will be two or three major sections. One is the development, integration, in-house testing, and certification testing. Development and integration, these two major types which we follow. Development means if some components we don't have right now with us, we develop those, and few components which really require some dedicated facilities and other stuffs, they get from brought out and get integrated in the component. Now, some testing we get it done in-house, some testing we get from some agency. Now, this testing basically refer in two categories. One is the certification testing. Here, in the certification testing, we generally do all the testing required for commercial launch of a product and selling that component in the market, getting some mandatory testing from such agencies like ARI, ICAT, so that the component or vehicle can be sold in the market. Now, in-house testing basically refers to the various purposes, that is intended purpose. If it is a vehicle level, then the vehicle is for commuting purpose, two people, one person, then the speed of vehicle, payload capacity, all those stuffs, reliability of the vehicle, then durability, whether it will last long for the intended time, kilometers, safety, whether it is safe to drive on road, whether it is safe to operate by operator, all these stuff. Efficiency. Efficiency means the components used and the vehicle used for the commutation purpose, whether it is efficient for that application and all that. Now, intended purpose is basically the role for its use. Means if it is a loader, then it should able to carry the load. The testing when we will do as a EV testing of the vehicle, it is basically whether that payload it is able to carry the various conditions of road, gradients, stiff bumps, all those, whether it is able to carry with that load. Then reliability, it should perform every time. If it is performing intermittent, then it is going to hamper the user performance and the perception of a user or its confidence on the vehicle, whether it is okay, not okay, those kind of stuff. Durability, if it is going to perform for a longer duration, then the payback and some earning will be there for a user. And we should ensure while making the joints made or the components used and their integration with each other is such a way it will perform for a duration. Safety for user, safety for components nearby, and safety for component or vehicle itself from other misuse. So when we test our component, it should capable to do this. Efficiency leads to simplicity. Means when component is efficient, it is dissipating the energy in less way, and it is not consuming huge power, so it is not becoming bulky, and it is remains simple. There are two basic type of testing generally in electric vehicle. One is a certification test, as I told, which requires mandatory test getting done from the certification agency, so that it is allowing us to sell a vehicle on a road. But at the same time, we need to assure the product performance test. Generally, these tests happen either at some external agency or also in in-house testing. Now, the basic purpose of this product performance testing is assurance of features committed. When we propose a vehicle to a user, we give some features to the vehicle, that this many kilometers, this many kilometers per charge, all these parameters which we mention on our leaflet or document. Those parameters are complied by the vehicle when it is on a road. That we assure to our customer. This testing we get it done. Smooth executions. If the committed features and the vehicle performance meets, or even it exceeds the expectations or the committed performance, then there is always a smooth execution when customers meet to dealer or a company or any transaction with the vehicle and a user. Those all remain smooth. Confidence on product. Once the user start getting confidence on a product, it give us a mouth publicity. Then when he uses a vehicle, he uses with the confidence, and there will be less hazardous or some complicated situations on road when a user uses the vehicle, because he is confident on that vehicle. Product performance or application testing. Generally, these all tests, which are application test or performance test, this runs on various use cases or test cases defined for approve or verifying the performance of a vehicle. As I told, assurance of features is a primary objective of this testing. What we are committing is delivered with our device. That we are ensuring first. Smooth executions within the vehicle and as a vehicle to user. Both executions we need to ensure these are smooth. These are not haphazardous or something complicated, that some very extra efforts to be done to achieve the execution of it. This we want to ensure that yes, something like this is not happening when a user is using vehicle. Confidence on product. Once the user is confident, he uses the vehicle in more proper way and less problems get reflected when he uses. Application suitability. when we are making some vehicle for the use of some specific purpose like a loader or some on-floor material handling device or on-road device, anything by which we are, by means of EV, we are achieving this application that it suits to that application. Means if it is a loader, when some component is getting loaded, unloaded, some hooking arrangement, those hooking arrangement not get disturbed when it is running on road. This kind of stuff which are application specific and they are complying to the use, not exactly to the standard, because standard they are getting verified when the certification is getting happen. But these all small assets or some gadgets which we are fitting in a vehicle, they are for some specific purpose when they are going to use the vehicle on their use. Compatibility with other system. Now we are having one vehicle with some basic infrastructure or some extra intelligent infrastructure on it, and when we are using on road, they should not interfere with some other vehicles. Or also when we go to some charging station or we park at some specific places, it should not create some hazardous situation for other systems nearby to it. Or if we go to the charging station, for example, then it should have some capability to communicate with the external system and to get what safe for the vehicle. If something hazardous is coming, it is isolating. This kind of testing, compatibility with the other system, considering some general platforms, is there. Environment suitability. Now, what it means exactly is when we go to the some different environment condition, because in India, even with some same city, we may face different conditions, because user who uses the vehicle can have different climatic condition. He is having outside more in light, direct sunlight interface, or he may be under roof, he may be using on a very proper roads or proper platform with the device which we are providing to them. At the same time, he can use in bumpy areas or some rough roads areas, which is nearby to the city or nearby to the some good infrastructure area. So, or also it can be with some seashores, it can be on high on mountains. So where the people using the vehicle, it should be compatible to that. So for that purpose, we use some various environment chambers to keep our component into that, and we do ensure it complies to these various environmental conditions. Now, when consider this environment suitability, generally there are some specific tests, some temperature test and all these stuff. But in case of vehicle, people keep the charger in some enclosed box to secure when they are not nearby to charger, because the vehicle is parked either in parking or somewhere. Now this enclosure which is surrounded the charger may not have proper ventilation because to achieve the security. But because of this, even though it is in shaded portion, it can have a exaggerated ambient or environment condition for its operation. So when we test the vehicle at the certification test, there are certain things which we do. But at the same time, when we do the application testing, we try to simulate the various conditions the component may face during its nature or life. Now, there are challenges in the testing, various challenges. Generally, the components are come in a CKD format. The importers or integrator basically got the approved or tested vehicle from some overseas location and they bring it here. Now, from their point of view, the vehicle is already suitable or checked or used by the people, so they don't think it is required to test the vehicle. But when it comes to the our environment or our usable practices by the various users, because generally people are aware of the gasoline fuel vehicles and some their habits are built from that perspective. But when they use an electric vehicle specifically, there are certain limitations of the technology or some performance parameters blocked or locked for achieving the life, service life and all that, considering that it is different. So that has to be tested, but generally people ignore it, and it as it is used by the various people overseas or some other location, they use the same vehicle and this server environment condition and usable practice, and they put it. This is one. Second, OEM do not have enough data. Actually, this reflects because some components manufactured by the various experts. As electric vehicle, it's a totally diversified technologies integration, because there is a battery which is a totally chemical or some very high-end chemical experience required, charger, controller, these are totally power electronics high-end experience required in it. Then mechanical integration and its use, tires and rims. Even the motor is housed in a aluminum rim. It's having its own other impacts. In MS rim is having other impacts, dissipation, use on the Indian roads, on the bumps, on the digs. All this is going to have a huge impact. And the component manufacturer shares either the interface data or some basic information about the component, including the certification. But when an application is being designed, then OEM should know what exactly this component is performing, what are the various kokakes used inside, so that the vehicle or application perspective, these things are catered by this device, and it will basically purpose solve will be safety to user, safety to nearby components, and safety to itself. These things are taken care, and various manufacturing practices followed are correct, and they are delivering the error-free product. This much information generally OEMs don't get from a component supplier directly, because there is a value volume issues and all other stuff. Now one more thing is limited time for testing. Generally components manufacturing, approving, these all stuff take huge time. So when it comes to application testing, then people generally don't have time, because component manufactured, then they brought to the vehicle, and then integration starts. Meanwhile, the market pressure, the competitors delivering the vehicle to the market, so there is a rush to the testing team that okay, already components tested, you just integrate and deliver. But when those components get assembled with each other, how they perform along with each other, what will be the various impact of the market environment and user practices on the component and the integrated devices, that has to be verified. But this time generally we get very less, and it caused some rush and some accelerated test and some litmus test getting done and deliver the product. So this is one of the challenge. One more is a complex product architecture. Now there are various components, some welding technology, some battery manufacturing technology, some power electronics technology. These all stuffs having their own merits and demerits. Now one perform well, the other performs bit lesser, then also there is problem. And individually they are performing really well, but when they meet each other, their interface, if that is not verified very well, then there can be a problem. One more challenge is the resources. Resources are basically three major types. One is a human, the people who awares the various technology, and when they meet with each other, what are the impacts on each other, what are the ideal environment for them to perform at best. This understanding various components and experience on these components handling is a bit less. Then machines, generally these all devices are new to the market, they are everyday changing and changing to comply the various market needs. Some new adaptable technologies, some new technologies which are very advanced, and some very basic requirement of a vehicle. This all combination is required very high-tech machines to assemble them and to test them. At the same time, information, the vehicle life or the parameters, various things which vehicle is going to experience, and the information collected from the field, and the corrective actions or some PDC activities on the components, that information from market is very less. So the whatever the some small testing is being done, using that data, some PDC activities are done, and some those components getting improved in their service. But this information is very little with everyone. So the more information, more correct product can be there. So this is also one of the major challenge. Sample size. What vehicles we do test is, as a EVs, generally is very less, because the major player here are startups and some importer or integrator kind of people. So these people test very small sample of vehicles or components when it has to be used, whereas the commercial or regular vehicle manufacturer are using a very big sample of vehicles for a very long duration of vehicle, because they have experienced so many failures or various type of failures in the field, and considering that those failures, they try to implement almost everything so that same situations will not reflect again. So that improves the product quality, or the if the sample size is more, they get more probable failures early, and they can cater it at very early stage before going in mass production stage. One more thing is use cases. Generally, electric vehicle people buy and try to use as a gasoline vehicle, or the other earlier practice of gasoline vehicles. So these use cases generally impact very heavily, and some impacts are irreversible. If something goes very bad, or some damage happen, physical damage happen to the component, some deterioration happen to the vehicle component, it's hard to recover. Earlier, when the lead acid batteries were used, it was really problem, because there was no BMS in the vehicle, and people were stopping for a while when the battery is full discharge, and in some time the battery regains some charge, and they again drives for a small distance. But for them it's a small activity, but as a component, battery get more deteriorated because of deep discharge and causing problem. Nowadays, because of BMS and lockout of undervolt or over discharge, this prevents these kind of situations. But this is not the only one case. People, it's designed for considering 60 kg as a normal human being, but the normal weight of nowadays people is also increasing. People carry sit more number on the vehicle, so payload increases. It put extra load on the various devices. So these all stuff, the various use cases may exposed by the vehicle in the market, those also has to be considered. And as many we consider, it is going to help us in predicting the probable failure. Test cases definitions. As many use cases we will define, it will help us to improve our test cases and reduce the failures. Complex architecture. We will just take one small case study of a charger and a battery. Now, charger and battery, these two are the two very important devices in our vehicle. Now, charger require, as I told, charger require power electronics experts and someone who really knows communication and all these integration, everything. And its domain is totally different. Some electronics based manufacturing totally different than the battery, which requires chemical experts, and manufacturing domain is chemical. Total the practices followed are different than the one which used for a charger. Now, when it is used in a vehicle, even though charger is really best at its place and battery is at its place, if the interface, right from the connector used, the way the connection is achieved, the contact drops, all these stuff really going to matter in the effective utilization of application. So the interface should be the proper, then the information shared over CAN or some communication should be correct. Also, the performance of a charger should suit to the battery so that it is achieve reliability of devices and a vehicle, also reliability of a vehicle and durability. Over a duration, the battery life can achieve. So the application level testing of these two devices, which is integrated, also the various supply conditions in the India, which is vary from plus or minus 20% on a domestic area. The charger performance over these variations, also when at various load condition, various ambience conditions, these also has to be verified. Also, very many people carry charger in the boot space of the vehicle, and that charger continuously suffer the vibrations. After those many vibrations, they put again vehicle in charging. After those vibrations, the some bulky components inside, like a transformer, inductor, the contact loosens, something kind of this happen and it lose. So we should test this as a test case, that person is putting vehicle charger in the boot space and it is moving everywhere, and when putting, what is the life of a charging there and how it is going to perform. Even one small case happens, the creepage distance reduces and it difference the charging profile. So this is one of the sample case I just discussed, which was a charger and a battery. Now there are so many components placed inside a vehicle and they have interface. Even a battery placed in a compartment, if it rubs continuously on a wall, even though relative movement is really small, but small movement, when the contact points get loosened. So all these application cases has to be tested when we are testing the vehicle. Technology have different merits. They are joined on a platform to achieve as an application. It's a team, and unless everyone performs to a bare minimum level, user, and they all perform differently. We need to test components, their practices to manufacture, their application integration practices followed, and a user practices when he uses this application to commute or to suffice his purpose. So this everything together involves various level testing, component level testing, certification level testing, performance level testing. All these testing with its limitation, we need to ensure that yes, the product is delivering. And as earlier we discussed in last some few sessions, that if user gets the committed plus some extra benefit from a vehicle, not always every time it is on the some features, but also every performance or every action executed by vehicle as a service to the user, if it is smooth, he is having a delight, and once we achieve delight, we get less problems. Hello?
Yeah, Samir. Can I request others to turn off their video? Please turn off your video. When you are asking questions, you can turn it on. Thank you. Yeah, Samir, go ahead.
Yeah. These visible impacts and invisible impact, something like some contacts, some wire harness, even though we observe case-to-case variation, like installation of throttle, installation of brakes, the wire harness used. And if you see when it comes to wire harness or some component integration, we can see a significant difference between a regular two-wheeler and EVs. Many people improved their practices recently a lot, but still some integrators or some importer-based vehicles, we may see that some tacking of a harness, a very small practice followed by the various people, that the distance used to tack. Now there is a connection with the device, and the first point, harness will be tied up. The distance, this really matters because it's a use case, one of the use case which used by the various people. Now the contact is getting less stress because of all the vibration, because it is tied up nearly to the component connection. So less vibrations transferred to the connection point, and it results a better performance. And if the DC connections get loosened up, either if it is a power connection, it will weld up, or if it is loose and it's a control connection, we may result in a hazardous or some unwilling situation, or some customer may face some real issues, something like throttle get loosened up between some ignitions, if surge powers are getting absorbed initially, if there is no pre-charge in the controller, then ignition switches get damaged very quickly, the wires and the contact points get weld up. So these all stuffs, as an application, various use cases should be there, considering the various failures in the market, and considering all these stuffs, if we make more use cases, more test cases from the use cases, we may end up with a more reliable and competent vehicle for the market, which used to the handling the gasoline vehicle, and its ruggedness achieved over time of over time. And EV, they are just beginners, but they can use the various test cases from the other kind of vehicles which are common as a use case to the EV, but adaptable to the technology.
Okay. Thank you, Samir.
Yeah.
So we have some questions. Harsh, you can start with the question. Samir, you can turn off your, remove the presentation and start your camera.
Yeah.
Hi Samir, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, Harsh.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think there's rarely any, a lot of focus or testing and certification usually doesn't get the sort of footage that we get from, the usual about the new things in from a tech perspective, right? Uh, it was a very, informative way that you went about it. But I do have a question, and the first one is for especially for a startup, like how do you approach or how are you managing with just the variety of components, the variety of vehicles out there, right? You mentioned there's certification level, homologation level requirement testing. There's also performance level testing. So for a example, startup or OEM, how are they approaching you, and how do you like go about the entire process of, helping certify a component, for example? Or is it just a component, or is it also a vehicle level that you do?
Yeah. It is really helpful to the startups that what happens generally, startup person is an expert in some domain and he tried to manage other stuff, but when it's a regular or manufacturer, big manufacturing company, they have their all control plan and various departments set up, there is expertise, those everyone take care of that segment. So the vehicle owner or product owner has to bear only various use cases of a vehicle, not on a component level. When it comes to a startup, it really bit complicated, because a person or a team, a small team which is doing this stuff, has to be aware of all these things so that their vehicle also perform well when it comes to some big manufacturer level. Now, for this stuff, there are various companies in the market. They come up with the various solutions, but unfortunately, everyone is taking care of their segment. But there are little some companies like SGS. They do have cross-platform certification or testing facilities. They are not exactly the ARI kind of stuff, but product performance level means whether this component is going to survive these ambient conditions, the paint used, what will be the fading test, various the light intensity across the, if it is they are going to sell across India, then in India at various stages how the paint is going to fade. These all test setup they do have, and but these are big companies and they do on some specific level, and generally these people are aware about the commercial vehicles or gasoline vehicles, I will say, not exactly commercial vehicles, gasoline vehicle perspective, because electric vehicle they are having very little space or facilities for the component and vehicle level testing. Along with Scopic, I do know some few companies which generally provide some vehicle level and component level performance testing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Samir. Sorry to interrupt you. I very my sincerest apologies, but let's try to focus on what your what you cover, what's your domain, right? So what's the expertise here? What sort of equipment are we talking about? Is there anything that makes you stand out from? You're saying, of course, we know OEMs are doing their own level of testing. Companies like Tata have validation rigs. They have test tracks of their own. So we know that they already have things that are pretty much there in place. When a startup comes to you, an application can range anywhere from a two-wheeler all the way to an LCV right now, right? We still don't have commercial trucks in EV. So what is making you stand out? What is there a particular test that you do? Is that some use case that you come up with for them? What gap or niche are you filling?
Yeah, we provide them application testing. Now there is a battery charger and battery is being used by vehicle. If you see a battery test report, it is on constant charge, but on vehicle it is dynamic. So we have a setup which tests battery charger integrated with a dynamic load. So the battery spec sheet don't give us a specification or life estimation. Along with our machine, our testing, people get information about how the component integrated performing on their vehicle dynamics on road, surge loads and all these stuff, how the battery is performing, charger is performing.
Do you accomplish that via a vehicle like a chassis dyno, or are you looking at it more as a component level? So let's say if I bring a four-wheeler to you and I'm trying to figure out the life of the battery via some accelerated test.
Yes.
Just let's take a use case, okay?
We
What machine would you use? Like what sort of equipment would you require for that? And how would you go about approaching that test? Would it be a vehicle level test? Would it be a battery level test? How would you go about it?
we perform both kind of stuffs, because it happens component also suffering the vibrations and everything, and vehicle when it is fitted in vehicle, the harness and everything other components come into picture. So both the test we do at when the component is connected and performing function, it is subjected to vibration and some various thermal conditions. We have platform for two-wheeler right now, because till now we not come across any LCV. Recently, some people are approaching after looking at the facility for two-wheeler, but still we are limited our facility right now for a two-wheeler. Now it is not only for a charger and battery. Also, it comes to the controller, tire, fixed motor, and the various connections. Everything it comes. So this kind of facility we have, and it really benefits to the startup, because they don't need to have some costly equipments at their end. they can have a slot in our space, and they can test their component, and they can estimate what can go wrong for the various use cases followed by the industry.
Can you tell us more about the equipment that you're using for two-wheelers? What sort of a dyno is it? How do you do vehicle level testing exactly? If that's okay.
Yeah, our dyno is not basically for achieving the performance of the general dyno is something like there are rollers fitted and a vehicle is mounted and we drive it. Our dyno is a bit different because everyone can run vehicle on road and they can achieve the road load simulations of their vehicle and achieve the road performance. But the performance which are bumpy, because we cannot simulate the bumpy every time. We cannot simulate the stone track because there will be fatigue to the driver, and driving every time same way on the road will be problematic. Every day situation on road are not same. So what we do, a repeated performance of the vehicle on the station that we achieve. So our dyno is a bit different than the regular dyno. We are subjecting to the various vibration, some bumps and some dugs, so that the contact areas or the component mounted, its fittings, they are subject to the various test conditions or use condition by the people on the road, and how the performance is achieved. So ours is bit a platform situated on a vibrator. With all connections, we do the component connections and do test so that actual road conditions can be simulated, or some accelerated test with such a huge vibration, with high ambient temperature, how it performs. These kind of stuffs we do. It is a base platform with an environment chamber.
Fair enough. Okay, Samir, I think let's considering the time that we're at, let's try to switch to some questions from the audience directly. Okay, so the first is Soma Sekar. Soma, would you like to go ahead and unmute and ask your question directly? Shall I do that for you?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is like one of the major challenge from the durability perspective is the battery aging, right? So like typically the battery manufacturer will be doing the like battery aging characteristics will be provided. So at the vehicle level, do you do any specific test to predict the battery aging, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, battery is the most complicated device in our vehicle, because the practices made or practices used to make battery are really complicated, and it's a chemical based stuff. Even though the best battery manufacturing practice followed, that manufacturer cannot guarantee two successive batteries manufactured are identical in the performance. Now, considering this, we have various calculation for electronics component and everything else to estimate its life and its failures. But for battery, we hardly having any calculations or any such data for estimating its age and its performance in our application. Now, for this purpose, we recommend or we do some testing with our customers, that it is situated on a platform with the vehicle charger. We charge the battery, and it is the entire stuff is subject to the vibrations, because there is a cell to cell connection, battery to battery connection, and all connections are come to the battery pack connection level. These are multiple connection. This battery pack connection is connected to the charger. Charger is also having its own internal structure. This all complicated stuff we put on a platform and do the performance testing. Now, if you see the battery, it is a constant current life cycle estimations given by the battery manufacturer. Whereas in vehicle, user continuously vary the throttle and there is a dynamic current response. And battery has to be tested for that kind of stuff. So we are providing some customized equipments to the users, capture the specific data with their vehicle and test the battery with the charger on a platform to estimate aging, what life it can suppose, what is a failure expected after how many cycles, where we are facing facing some gray areas, those all stuffs getting identified at repeatable condition on a bench. I think I'm
So much, does that answer your question, or do you have anything further?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Samir. Okay, the next is Ashish. Ashish, would you like to speak up, or shall I ask your questions on your behalf?
Sure. So, majority of the times it happens that the OEMs do not have this characterization data, since the component level or the components are imported from some kind or already existing component providers. So what they usually do is they give, so being a system integrator and for the battery charging systems, they give the testing, the entire vehicle to our setup. And this do not solve the problem because of the complex architecture that you just mentioned. So what we end up doing is that we end up suggesting a replacement of a component or changing the entire architecture, which will resist to do because they have to change their supply chain into their manufacturing setup. So is there a way where so there are a couple of questions that arises because of this time to fix up the application requirement also varies. Uh, so is there a way that there could be a tri-party engagement where the system designer, the OEM, and the testing facility uh, could sync up and handhold OEM doing this characterization testing and create all the necessary data points so that the system design is impeccable and it could be revalidated that way. So some agents could help both these parties to help it out. So what are your views onto it, and any standard process or documentation which OEM needs to follow so that they could test it internally and
Yeah, generally what happens, this is a very common case when the components are imported and some design changes at manufacturer level, component level, and it changes some features which our vehicle or our some other aggregates in the vehicle are used to. Now, in this case, what generally people are we observe that doing when a component comes initially for testing purpose, the use cases which are defined considering the application of the vehicle manufactured or used by the people. These use cases are subjected to the components received and ensuring the bare minimum requirement of a vehicle are complied. Okay, and the additional features what the component is giving is been documented on a test bench, which is a stationary, because doing all these stuff, how the component is working, what is the surface temperature of it, all these kind of stuff, documenting on a moving vehicle is a bit hard. Putting all those accessories and driving that vehicle every time in the same way on the road, on Indian road basically, is a bit complicated because every day there is something change on the road. So achieving this repeatability is a bit complicated. So on test bench, these components are tested, the results are documented and ensure it is achieving the bare minimum capability. Now, the change case, something goes wrong, either the supplier is not or by any means we are getting a change in the component. Now what happens, again doing all the validation is causing it some use time. But if it is tested on a test bench with the documented result, with the various cycles and various other parameter conditions, we know in these use cases we are achieving these results. Just put a new component, run the use cases, and we don't need to run a life cycle testing of or accelerated life cycle testing of a component. We can check what are the parameters monitored earlier, what are the parameters monitored right now, because everything is documented on a stationary bench. Those we can easily compare and come up with a solution. Yes, this can be immediate replacement, and same the time we can have some other parameters benchmarking. Yes, when I tested once, it was having this much temperature data, temperature stabilizing time, or some parameter like this, which are monitored with various sensor on station, we can compare and we can get a gut feel. Yes, by replacing 1S2 on this device, we can go on, and same time we can trigger the life cycle testing so that any failure over a time we are achieving, we can implement. But our production or component changing cycle or ECR ECN process get reduced in time span.
Okay. Okay.
This is a benefit of bench testing.
Okay.
Does that answer all your questions, Ashish, or do you have any further questions?
Not as of now. I shall connect with you with
Certainly. So I have a more, more from a industry standpoint. I have a question, Samir. So we see a lot of startups, OEMs, even in some cases OEMs could be launching products with certification level tests, right? Not to name any names, but we know for a fact that EVs have been launching, and there's a lot of discrepancy between what is touted as the ARAI range versus what the real world range tends to be. Now we know there are factors such as individual driving styles and stuff like that, but still we are seeing a lot of gap between what ARAI claims versus what some of these owners are seeing. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's application agnostic, right? So how do you see that space being figured out? You said use cases, right? How do you like if you were to be trying to figure if you were in charge of doing that, right? How would you come up with the use cases that would get us closer to more of a real life TTE or range?
Yeah. Generally, all these certification agencies, they are all concerned about the safety and safety to the user and to the other vehicles on road. That's it. They don't care about the vehicle performance. Means if three people sitting and if vehicle is kept on running, what will be impact on the even seat structure, the supports on the electric drivetrain, the battery impact, they are least bother. They're just ensuring on the given conditions with the specification, the vehicle is performing well in the safety and the safety to the vehicle and safety to the other vehicle on road. So when we decide what use cases we have to do, they are mainly we want to achieve the performance also along with these general test conditions required by the certification agency. So these use cases we generally consider overload. Maybe it trips. It sense more payload is being done and it is stopping. It may be now the vehicle is used for commuting purpose. If it stops performing, it gives the discomfort to the people, and it is reducing the delight factor. So these test cases definition, standard use test cases, and a platform like we people, or there are various companies nowadays coming up with this kind of testing facilities, which are not the certification test, but the performance test of the components and the vehicle level to the people. And this benefit, because as a company, I may be aware with some X number of failures, but as a test agency, we may aware some X into our N number of customer failures. So we are increasing our use test cases so that everyone gets benefited with a common understanding. It is not specific that you change this so that that company like performance you can achieve, but the failures someone uses roughly, then what is the impact on the vehicle? That is some failure identified from market, something else is identified. It is not the sharing of each other's data, but as an agency or as a testing facility, we are improving our knowledge or improving our machines so that the more use cases can be simulated or tested and the more better product can be manufactured. So this way it will be benefit.
Right. Okay. So I think I'm going to ask you address a final question for the day. I think we're pretty close to closing out for the session today. But one last question, if you don't mind. As far as accelerated tests that you mentioned, right? Accelerated testing. A lot of times people see, for example, let's say an electric motor. Now, a supplier may, inquiry may say that this XYZ electric motor has a warranty of 3 years. How do you use accelerated testing to come up? Do you do those sort of testing? I mean, sorry, do you conduct those sort of tests where you help figure out what a warranty or what a life cycle would be for an electric motor? And if you do that, like, what is the approach there? How do you come up with a? I'm sure there are basic things like duty cycle and stuff that you need to be aware of. But aside from that, how do you come up with a number that, okay, this motor is going to have a warranty of 3 years or 4 years, like, for that matter? Is there some process?
Yeah, specifically when for you're talking about a motor, along with other components, we do test motor also. We give various performance parameters plotted for a motor, which defines its life. We do cut-open test. We test some insulations and everything, temperature rise. Now there are two kind of jerks suffered by a motor, some mechanical jerk, electrical jerk. So we study the components of a customer, we plot their characteristics, and we suggest some changes, or we tell them how it can going to impact considering the general calculations of these devices, because motor and controller are stable electronic devices and there are various life calculation for them. So using them we can predict. But for that, we conduct some initial tests, electrical shocks, mechanical shocks. We identify even the bearings used in a motor. We do get tested that also, because how the performance, mechanical performance of motor, that also matter with the bearings. So all these stuffs we plot on a paper, which is a report, and we suggest them we give them some ideas how they can improve, what can these jerks, how they can lead to the failures, how easily, how quickly it will lead to failure considering the temperature rise and other jerks. So these kind of services we do provide to our various customers. But now every time it's a case-to-case basis, because people do have their expertise at their end, then they just do the testing part. If they do not have the exact expertise, they do take some suggestions also from us.
Fair enough. No, makes sense. Is it possible for you to guide us and guide the audience towards any document as such that outlines such form of accelerated tests or helps estimate the life cycle of a particular motor, for example? Can you point us to any document or any source that can help us understand more on that?
Right now, it will be a bit immediate. It will be hard, but there are websites which give us the information about the battery. Okay, accelerated test, various accelerated test for battery.
I'm talking about the motor here. So
yeah, for motor also, if you see the Crompton Greaves site basically, and when Supansika Motors, they do have some really good informative videos about BLDC and some BLDC motors and everything, because they are expert in manufacturing BLDC motors, and for a while they are manufacturing it now. So they do have accelerated test. Even I'm not very sure, but when I entered in a Crompton Greaves area, I seen some accelerated test videos they posted on the site. Those are a bit older one, some 6 to 8 years older, when they started manufacturing BLDC motors. Some informative, basic information videos they put on, and how they are testing. Those videos are there on YouTube, and they are basically from Crompton Greaves. One Mr. Doctor, I miss his name right now. He is posting all those videos, and they are on official channel of a Crompton Greaves. How the accelerated test they are doing, and how the estimation of a motor can be done for a BLDC when it was really starting. Somewhere in 2006, 2007, they posted all these stuff when it was really a new startup of EVs in the market, Indian market. And those are really informative one to understand how the physics or the basic principle of a motor, BLDC motor works.
Fantastic, thank you. We appreciate that, Samir. All right, I think we've pretty much come to a close for today. I highly appreciate the fact that you've taken the time out, Samir, and walked us through this area. Again, certification and testing tends to be basically a gray area for a lot of outfits. We're seeing a lot of OEMs launching products, but and after launch we see that something like this or more use cases, more in-depth testing is something that would eventually benefit the consumer. So we wish you the best in your endeavors. We hope that you grow into other applications as well. And again, thank you very much for taking the time and educating us on this subject today. Thanks everybody in the audience for questions, and of course they posted the contact for Samir if you'd like to get in touch with him directly. Samir, any parting words for everybody?
Yeah. First, thank you, Ganiki, to enable me to highlight something like testing, because testing is the most ignored part in the entire stuff. People least bother. Everyone considers someone else have taken care. I will not bother, and this leads to some failure. And you people are really uh, thinking this can be a topic of discussion. For that, first congratulate you to think this some innovative way and helping me to demonstrate. For that, thank you.
You're very welcome, Samir. Thank you again. And again, if anybody in the audience feels that their questions may not have been answered, please feel free to post them to us and we'll make sure they get answered or they reach Samir. All right, guys, thank you. Thanks again. And we look forward to seeing you again next Saturday. And thanks again, Samir. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you, sir.